Welcome back to the Kirk Miller Podcast. Today I have, this is a test to say the name properly, Daniel Salewski.
Correct. Well done.
Said it. Perfect. No, we've got a man who is obsessed with all aspects of health, wellness, longevity, and more specifically, we're going to be discussing today, Dan, everything around DNA, biomarkers, NAD, and more. As Dan is the founder of Elite Vita.
Elite Vita, yeah.
Yeah, Elite Vita, where I can say firsthand, I recently had some blood work done and IV drips, and I was just trying to reboot myself after being in a bad way for a week. And his service is absolutely outstanding. You know, I've been in the game a long time. So firstly, I want to say massive thank you for not just that, but for your time in advance today, Dan. And I want to squeeze the life out of not just what you do and why it's important, but also where it's come from. Okay, because I always want to know the why. Why is this important? So if you ask someone who is looking for the edge with your health, your wellness, your energy, performance, Dan is going to be sharing some absolute gold around that today. So for those who don't know you, Dan, just to kick us off, probably more articulate than what I've just done.
Sure.
What is it you do for those who don't know you?
Okay, so at Elite Vita, we are essentially data-driven health optimizers. We improve people's blood biomarkers. We go in great depth into DNA analysis. I can explain a bit more about that in a while. We'll go into depth of the methylation pathway. We try and reverse the major or improve major biological markers. Such as ApoB, which is one of the main ones for longevity, for any risk of cardiovascular disease, for CRP, which is inflammation. We go for a whole gamut of different biomarkers. And what we use is NAD. We use different supplementation, all natural products, creating protocols that really try and get people to the optimal best. And that's what we're here for, to really just kind of get everyone feeling great, feeling young, and performing at the highest level. So with that, we work with a lot of athletes, we work with a lot of execs, and that's something we've been focusing on for last year here in Dubai.
Yeah, no, I totally resonate with that. I mean, there's one thing, knowing what to do to look a certain way, lift a certain way, perform a certain way, but technology, the medical world is just changing faster than we can keep up with. So I know for one, and speak probably on behalf of my clientele and the networks I'm in, that we're at a stage in our life where we are looking for the edge to take us from good to great, or any genuine hack or solution or service or thing that can help me live longer, live better, live with more purpose. And I'm all ears. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, if you're still listening to this, then you're intrigued the same. Now, Dan, I'm always intrigued by people's backstory.
Sure.
Like, because, you've just articulated what you do and the services you provide and a touch of why that's important, right? But where does this all come from, right? I mean, forgive me for asking, how old are you now?
I'm 44.
44, and we'll talk about how you've reversed your age as well.
I'm 33, really.
33, but where did this all come from? Because I'm sure when you were growing up, NAD and all this,
absolutely,
and DNA testing and probably the importance of blood work
wasn't relevant. No. Yeah. So I realised this recently. When I was about 14 or 15, my mum realised I was smoking. And she realised I was going out and having a drink when I shouldn't have been, being a little naughty boy. She brought me a book called Health for Hooligans. And I realised that resonated with me. So there was a page in the book that said, every cigarette you smoke depletes the body of 25 milligrams of vitamin C. Every orange you eat, you absorb 30 milligrams of vitamin C. So my logical brain was, okay, I can't eat 10 or so oranges a day. I started supplementing with vitamin C when I was very young to balance off the cigarettes I was smoking.
Wow.
So that was in the background, that sat there, and that always kind of stuck with me. So when I was a bit older, I would take multivitamins, zinc, cod liver oil, etc., but I didn't know what I was taking. But then growing up, just give my backstory.
No, it's important. It's important.
Yeah, I was involved in sales from a young age. I worked for my uncle who had a printwear and promotion company providing clothing to restaurant industry and nightclub industry. So I was doing sales into that. When I got a bit older, I was doing IT sales. I was doing what was called new media sales at the time, selling online advertising. And I was in sales, in telco sales. That was my last role in sales when I was about 30. I was very good at sales, but I found it, after a while, just, I wasn't satisfying something within me. Now, my mum was a social worker. And when I was growing up, she was working fostering. When I was younger, we had sometimes foster kids come and stay in our house. And so I had that around me. A couple of kids in my class were in foster care. And my mum said to me, one of her friends went to start a fostering agency. And so I had a chat with her friends. I had a bit of money saved up, enough to start a fostering agency. So we set up a fostering agency. That was January 2012. After about a year of running the fostering agency, we weren't seeing eye to eye on the way at the direction of the business, so I brought her out. It was quite a stressful time. It had lawyers on both sides. I was quite stressed.
Especially when it's family.
Sorry?
Especially when it's...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I was quite stressed, and I felt really burnt out, but I didn't really know what it was. I thought it was potentially just down to the business. But then it felt more than that. I found it kind of a struggle to get out of bed, but I was still pushing myself. I could always mentally push myself, but I actually felt physically I wasn't there. So I went to the local GP, and they thought I was depressed. I knew it wasn't depression. I knew there was something more. So I did a bit of research, and I saw a doctor on Holly Street, a functional medicine specialist, and he did a real big panel. A massive panel looking at all into depth into my bloods. They realised I wasn't metabolising vitamin B3 correctly. Now, vitamin B3 turns into NAD in the body. So I'll explain a bit about NAD in a bit. Bottom line is, by not being able to metabolise this vitamin B3, I just didn't have the physical energy. So the doctor recommended I do a high dose of NAD. NAD being an intravenous drip at the time.
What year would this have been?
This was 13 years ago.
Okay.
So it was 2013. Yeah. So well before NAD became popular. And I did 5 days of an NAD drip. After the first day of doing NAD, I felt a different man. It was.
And you changed nothing else at that point?
Nothing whatsoever. So I went into the clinic, went into Harley Street, didn't know what to expect at all. Didn't know the feeling I was going to get. The high dose I did was 1,000 milligrams, which most people wouldn't do, and certainly wouldn't do for a first dose. We wouldn't recommend doing it for a first dose at the moment. It took about 6 hours to do. It was quite intense. But I went home and I just felt at peace. I felt energised. I felt just different. It was amazing. It was really amazing. By the 5th day, by the Friday, I was just bounds of energy again. I knew this was the real me again. And it was amazing. So from there, I went back probably every quarter for a period of time. It was very expensive. I was still in startup phase of the company, so I didn't have a lot of money. So, ideally I'd been going there every month, but it was probably every quarter I would go for the next 5-6 years or so. I also realised that I could take different supplements that would assist NAD production in the body. Also eat slightly different foods. For instance, turkey has a lot more niacin, which turns into NAD, than chicken does. Okay. So I was very conscious then. But then I was just get aware of what else could I do? There was other things I could do. So I did my DNA probably 10 years ago. I did it with a company that we still use. It's the most advanced DNA analysis in the world. And I started looking at the reports and just really getting my head into it. And then about 3 years ago, one of the doctors that was then at the time providing me the NAD drips, I was talking to him and I invested in his clinic. He was doing just purely NAD and vitamin drips. The view was we were going to come out here and set up a longevity clinic. I came out here. He then decided he wanted to go to Vietnam, and he's now set up a clinic out there. So I was a bit of a loss. And at the end of the day, I decided to do it on my own. Well, I say on my own. I found a great business partner, and then we spent some time and found a phenomenal medical director. But one thing. So I've run a fostering agency. My wife now does that, looks after it day to day. She joined the company about 6 years ago. But the main thing with running fostering, it gave me a real satisfaction inside, because what it was about, you could see you're making a measurable difference to young people's lives. And that's something that really hit me. Obviously, growing up in the way I did, having foster care around me, and people at school, and seeing yourself make a difference in a young person's life, changing the trajectory of someone's life, was more than money. It was more than I was making a hell of a lot more money when I was in sales. But this was now my calling. But I realised that I wanted to make a difference to my life in regards to my physical health. And can we do, using that same mentality as in fostering, making a difference, making a change, getting that thanks, getting that pat on the back, can we do that for people's health? And we've now been able to do that. And that is, for me, just such a beautiful thing. It's just a really, really amazing thing to be able to do. And seeing people, we've got testimonials, but seeing people come in, and very recently we had a lady come in, and after 3 days, she was a different person, and literally just a different person from our protocols. And it can be done. The main thing is we're all so different. And in the same way children are also different. You can't just say, do this for a certain child, they'll be better. No, you need to understand.
Basically, you're guessing.
Yeah, you're totally guessing. We need to understand an individual. If you understand the individual, certainly with longevity in down to the cellular different or the genetic differences that we all have, create a protocol, and then you can see such transformations. And that can be the real edge.
With DNA testing, I'm sure you're aware of, and I'm sure before you went into this deep, you can understand why a lot of people are skeptical, right? Because I know there's a lot of companies or products, that have tried to do things half-assed. Like, what's the difference between the way you've researched and have gone on to done it versus other companies that I feel that, because you can attach the word longevity, right, to and wellness to so many different things. Certainly when it comes to blood work or DNA testing, or even gadgets or pens or this, that, and the other. Like, what is the difference between how you do it versus what you see? Because I'm sure you did an enormous amount of research before you set up that clinic.
Absolutely. I mean, a hell of a lot of research. I can be a bit of a geek. I very much can be a bad thing. Yeah, I can. I mean, I read reports every morning. It's I get scholar alerts and read reports every morning. Yeah. I really enjoy it. Let's go just to the first point, the word you said, longevity. Yep. I don't like it.
Why?
Because then straight away the thing is longevity. Okay, live long. So what?
Agreed.
So what? Really, what it's about is health span. That's really, in my mind, that's what it needs to change to. It's about health span. In the latter years of your life, are you living a healthy life in the latter years? And even, our age now, are we living a healthy life? You want the ability to play with your kids, play with your grandkids, maybe great grandkids as well. Kick a ball. Imagine that, kicking a ball about with your great grandkids. That'd be phenomenal. And there's although I say longevity, it's just because it's the common phrase.
I get it, because people understand that. But I understand what you mean. Basically, there's one thing living longer, but if your quality of life, whilst living longer, isn't there, and your vitality and your energy, then
you've just prolonged the pain. So it's really, really silly. You want to have energy, you want to have that vitality, mobility certainly in the latter years as well, and strength as well. So that kind of puts that one point aside. Then we can talk about DNA. There is so much marketing rubbish in regards to DNA.
I'm that guy that's seen so much marketing rubbish.
Yeah, so. I mean, I've seen so many reports that just really give you no information, but also, I'll give you an understanding. When we look at DNA, we'll look at over 200 million genetic variants. Best way to explain that is your DNA is like a huge encyclopedia. Each letter within that encyclopedia is just one genetic variant. Now, many DNA analysis here and globally, they will look at maybe 30 or 40 genetic variants and then say they've read your DNA and they can give you insights. That is like looking at an encyclopedia, looking at 30 or 40 letters. They can't even complete a sentence. Okay. They can't even complete a paragraph or a page. You need to look at everything, or not everything, but a huge amount of genetic variants. And that's really so important, because each genetic variant can have such a small, does have such a small impact on what you can predict and any health outcomes. So For us, we look at what is called polygenic risk scores. Polygenic risk scores are, they've been validated over, I think it's just over 1 million people now. And the great thing, from all different ethnic backgrounds as well. So a lot of the early DNA analysis was just done with an American base, white American base. Now we've got global ethnic background. And it really does matter. Then we talk about polygenic risk scores. So polygenic risk scores, when we look at cardiovascular health, or when we look at, say, cognitive decline, we look at about 1 million and 1.1 million respectively. And that is a way we can tell you the risk of your Alzheimer's, tell you risk of heart attack or stroke, and then what can be done to change that as well. So polygenic risk scores is the idea you're looking at big numbers, aggregating that data, and looking at the real risk and actual real risk in life as well. So it's real data sets that have been tracked. The company we use is the only company that's actually been featured in the scientific journal Nature. So this means
this is science backed and stat fact. There's no opinion. It's not.
There's no rubbish. It's peer reviewed. It's validated. It's trusted. As I say, it's the only platform that has ever been featured in the scientific journal Nature for direct to DNA analysis. So sure, you can use another DNA analysis platform. You can take a test that just shows you 30 or 40 variants and it says, oh, you've got a risk of this, you've got a risk of that. It's just random guesswork and it's just marketing rubbish. And it is, for me, I find it quite annoying and frustrating that other people are selling these, because then when clients come to us, they will say to me, oh, I've had my DNA done. I know it already. And then you have to poo-poo it and you have to restart again and say, unfortunately, you were totally missold.
Why are people doing that? Is it because of the cost? Is it because of the duration, the turnaround time to get the data? Like what, versus you've got the most comprehensive DNA testing like you guys do, and that has been science backed. It's reviewing everything. Then you've got these companies that are maybe doing half the picture. Why are they doing that?
They're not even doing half the picture. They're not even doing a 100th of the picture.
Okay.
I mean, that's how bad it is,
okay.
Unfortunately. Why are they doing it? Because they can sell it and they can get away with it. And that's all I can say. I mean, the ethics behind it, I think, is a joke, personally. It doesn't give you insight into what you can really do. If you don't, for one reason, you need to understand your methylation pathway as well.
What is that for someone who doesn't know? Because obviously,
absolutely,
99% of people will be like, what is that?
Okay, so methylation pathway, it's most of our genetic variants that you can't turn the genes on and off. They are fixed genes. The genes within your methylation pathway are genes that are almost like switches in a network that you can actually amend and you can turn them on and off. So if you've got 40 genetic variants, such as the MTHFR gene, which many people have, or COMT. For instance, MTHFR, about 20% of people have this. Now, if you have this, that means you now have a problem absorbing leafy greens. So you can have a great healthy diet, but if you don't flick the switch, you're not actually absorbing those leafy greens.
Okay.
And many people are unaware of that. So that's why it's really important to understand your methylation pathway. So it's a cycle that which will, it improves DNA repair. It gets rid of homocysteine.
What is that for someone who doesn't know what that is?
Okay, homocysteine is a marker.
Yep.
Homocysteine is essentially a toxin in the blood. So we need to get rid of it and it's basically clean it out of the blood. But it's naturally produced. So we need to look at where we're producing it within the blood. Okay, so if we look at, it'd be great if I had a picture to actually show you.
I understand.
So it'd be great. So the methylation pathway is how we absorb certain nutrients and how we get rid of the toxins.
Yep.
Also, if we look at something, part of the methylation pathway is COMT. That's how we regulate our moods. So that can be dopamine release, it can be cortisol. Part of the methylation pathway also is concerned with hormones as well. So we've got all these different switches that we can turn on and off, and they're the only part of our DNA that we can turn on and off. So it's really, really important to know that. And then important to know if you've got the 40 switches, so it's in the off position, what can you do about it? And there are things you can do about it.
What?
So, okay, MTHFR gene, simple thing.
What is that?
Okay, so this is...
I'm
doing it again. Okay, MTHFR. So this is the one about absorbing vitamin B B12. So that's where you're getting your leafy greens.
Yep.
Okay. So you're not absorbing the leafy greens if you have this switch on. Off. Need to slow down and get it right now.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so,
you can see the passion of it. Yeah.
So what you do is you take a supplement called 5-MTHF. Now that is essentially an active form of folate. So often, you may have experienced this recently, with when a woman is going through pregnancy, they're often told to take folic acid. That is the same as 5-FTMH.
Okay.
So what you do is you just simply supplement with 5-FTMH. Sorry, 5-MTHF. Going to slow down.
Yeah.
And that then turns the switch on. Now you can absorb.
But you're saying basically, in layman's terms, for people listening, if you don't have the stats and facts
about yours
with your specific DNA, you could be taking a supplement or eating a food that is irrelevant, or you can't utilize the effectiveness of that.
Absolutely. You've got bottlenecks in your system, in your pathway, that you're now not absorbing. So how do we break those bottlenecks? How do we absorb these foods? And that's really, so it's all about understanding you. And everyone's so different. If we understand you, understand your methylation pathway, understand, I mean, this really impacts mood regulation as well. And so what can we do? Typically what we're talking about is B vitamins. But not all of us can absorb those B vitamins. So how do we then absorb these? So, for instance, as I was mentioned, an active form of folate like 5-MTHF, and that's what we can take. But I mean, everyone's so different. You need to go through it. So, for instance, our methylation pathway, we'll look at 27 different genetic variants that are related to.
What are the most common things you see
in methylation?
Yep.
Most common one by far is the MTHFR gene. That is the most common.
Which how would that be affecting people?
So that will then show up by, again, energy, mood. Well, that won't directly affect mood. It will be COMT that affects mood, but it means the lack of not being able to absorb your leafy greens. Okay. So then, that's crucial, as you know, for all parts of recovery or energy. But that is the classic one that shows up, and then. Apart from that, I wouldn't say there's one more that stands out than the others. That is the main one that stands out. The rest of them, it's just different for everyone. Some you can have one genetic variant like COMT functioning really, really well, then ANCY or ANCY not functioning. And all it is simple stuff. It can be stuff like some people won't absorb I'm going to pronounce it, eggs, basically. Yeah. You're not absorbing the nutrients from the eggs.
Okay.
And so
I get it.
Yeah, it's just, everyone's so different. We have to understand the individual parts of this.
What's the difference between this advanced DNA testing and like blood work as well? It's such a generic term. What's the difference between getting your bloods done versus a deeper DNA analysis?
The way I like to explain it is, your DNA is the handbook you should have been given at birth. Okay. It's quite simple. It's how you work, how you function. Yep. Apart from methylation pathway, you can't change it. It's going to stay the same for the rest of your life. Whereas your blood work will change. Your blood work is your report card at school. So this is how you work, and this is your report card. Okay. So utilising how you work, what can we do most to get you the best score on your report card? Okay. But with your blood work, what we find is typically when I've had my blood, apart from when I had my blood done years ago, if you go to your doctor and get your bloods done, you'll just often be told, yeah, it's good. Your blood's good.
I had a client say that recently. Literally, he was getting blood work tested as within his company, but he's never actually seen the report. He's
right.
Yeah, as in, it was just, there was, let me, I don't want to be mistaken on this. He was getting blood work done, but no one was ever actually breaking down what to do from that blood work. And that's been one of my biggest pet hates. And like I said to you, one of our guys, Richard Porter, it's like, what, so what?
Yeah. What are you going to do with this
What are you going to
information?
do with it?
Well, first of all, many blood work panels will just say, this is good. So you've got a range of, say, 5 to 105. And anything in between, yeah, you're good. It's only if you go outside that range, there's trouble, now we need to do something. But for us, that's not good. we want an optimal range. What could be optimal? So let's bring it down to say between 15 and 20. Let's get that. I mean, perfect example would be ApoB. ApoB is deemed to be one of the biggest indicators for longevity and health span. This is
basically for how long you're going to live.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Or risk factor of dying.
Okay.
So ApoB is like small little particles in your blood that will harden your artery walls. So many people talk about the ApoB with people like Dr. Peter Attia. He recommends, it's generally recommended to try and get your ApoB level below 70. Below 65 is really, really good. Below 65 is actually not only your artery walls aren't hardening anymore, but the soft calcium is actually starting to deplete. So you're reversing now. Okay. So that's really amazing. So if you've got a high ApoB level, what's happening? Your artery walls are basically, these little particles are hardening your artery walls. Hardened artery walls then relates into stroke, heart attack further down the line.
Okay.
So priority is to get that number really low. But the normal range is literally between 50 and 150. That's if you had 140, your doctor would say, yeah, you're good. We would say, no, you're not good at all. We need to dramatically decrease that because day by day, that artery wall is getting hardened. Why are you doing that? When there are such simple things, you can supplement to change. And all it is supplementation or change of diet, but understanding you and how you absorb things.
So you're basically saying there's a lot of generic, very basic stuff, a bit like, forgive me if it's incorrect, but do you remember there was, probably still is the case, there's like a universal rule in the UK that if you walk 20 minutes a day, you're going to be healthy or something. And that might be what your doctor might say is healthy, but really?
It's the same thing of saying, okay, it used to be a couple of glasses of wine a night is okay. Then it was a few glasses of wine a week. Yeah. It's like, come on, what can you really? If you want to be optimal, if you want to be really healthy, let's. You need to be walking more than 20 minutes a day. Now,
100%.
Now it's 10,000 steps. But really, could you?
Well, if you look at that equates whether you do it in one long walk or bite sizes. It's like 90 minutes of movement a day.
It's quite different.
It's a big jump. It's a bit
different from the 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So. But going back to the question about blood, so the important thing is certain markers, ApoB, CRP, which is inflammation.
Yes.
So that's really crucial. So the typical range we'd say is, the range would be between, say, 0.1 and 0.6. Anything outside that would be bad. But really, optimal range is you're talking below 0.2.
I would argue, though, and I know this might hit a nerve if you don't do this, but this is something I didn't do up until a few years ago, and it's something I but need to take even more seriously. You're talking about ranges there. A lot of people don't even get their bloods done.
Yes,
a lot of people don't even get their bloods done, let alone DNA testing.
Yeah.
So, like, I know we're diverse here. We knew this would happen between me and Dan, but look, it's fine. What is the absolute minimum requirement, in your opinion, when it comes to blood work and people getting the absolute bare minimum test when it comes to blood work for someone who just wants to give themselves the best opportunity of knowing what's going on inside their body?
Okay. So first of all, once a year, without a doubt.
Yeah.
You need to, you may be pre-diabetic. You can stop that. You need to get what done once a year, without a doubt. But then, if you want to optimize, you do it quarterly or every 6 months. What's the minimum to have in the panel? You want your hormones done. You want your basic lipid panel. You want your liver function test. Crucial one is the minimal. You've got to know your vitamin D. Right. So, vitamin D, if the difference between being insufficient and sufficient in vitamin D, do you know the difference? It's so important that if you're insufficient, so the difference between the two is a reduction of hospital costs by 39%, and that's coming from health insurers. So that one thing reduces hospital costs by 39%. That is, so you need to know your vitamin D levels. People say, I'm in the sun, I get this. You need to know still, because you don't know how much you're absorbing from the sun. We've all got different backgrounds. And and also you may supplement. It was interesting. I was actually where we bumped into each other.
MeFit.
Yeah, MeFit. Just after we spoke, there was a panel, and there was a guy talking, and there was so in the audience there, they probably had 50 to 100 health professionals across the range of PTs, across the range. And he kept saying, put your hand up if you get your bloods done. Put your hand up if you do this. Put your hand up if you do that. He asked, put your hands up if you get your vitamin D tested. I was one of 2 people. Wow. And these are health professionals. Vitamin D is crucial. And also he was asking in the room, how much do people take? And people's ranges really varied. And so it again implies to me people don't really know what to take. People were also saying they would take, say, for instance, 10,000 IU once per week. Other people would take it once per day. People really didn't have a great direction. So going back to you were mentioning with Dr. Porter, we need to look at the bloods, but we also need to get real good feedback. If you're not getting good feedback, you need to have someone, not say holding your hand, but someone giving you the right direction. You know, and that's crucial as well. So to tell you, this is the amount of vitamin D you particularly
How would
need.
someone know or maybe feel they're not, or better put, their vitamin D levels aren't where they need to be?
How would they feel it?
Yeah.
Their immunity.
Okay.
Getting the sniffles, getting colds, that's an obvious one. I mean, I haven't got ill for a good few years. I was borderline last week as
the virus. I get it.
Yeah, but vitamin D levels are so important for immunity. It's crucial. So if you're getting colds every so often, I would suggest your vitamin D levels are low. But it's so important. Just get tested. It's such a simple thing. It's a cheap.
Why do you think a lot of people don't get tested? Are they problem unaware, or they don't value it? Because people happily chuck money at other things, but the one thing that is going to create predictability to how long you're going to live and the quality of life that you actually live, is what's going on inside your body. But why do you think people don't do it?
Okay, there's a few things. It's education.
Okay.
Right. So why are we not educated? Well, we've got a healthcare system that is built on us getting ill. That's the bottom line, you know, and it upsets me. It greatly upsets me, especially when I just explained, you know, we can reduce hospital costs.
That's staggering.
39%.
I mean, what would that be worth in terms of? I mean, you're talking
billions,
trillions,
and globally trillions through COVID. Had we been told to take vitamin D, it would have massively reduced hospitalizations and deaths. And why are we not being told this? Why is the information not being pushed out there? Money is made from illness. Money is not made from sickness. Can that change? Yes, I believe it can.
From your experience, you might not know the answer, but I'll ask you anyway. Is there more awareness in Dubai or the UK?
100% in Dubai.
Really?
I feel, yeah. 100%.
Why?
Yeah. Dubai, in my opinion, is based around people who are go-getters, people who want to achieve. They've made the effort to move here for a start. They've made the effort to come here and see they're going to make something better of themselves. If they're doing that, then straight away...
They're a different person.
They're different.
They're a different person.
Absolutely.
Versus fixed mindset and growth mindset.
Absolutely.
They're open to...
possibilities of growth, possibilities of change, possibilities of I can be a better person. And so if you're here, so straight away, I think people are so much more aware here. However, they're still not I mean, as a general, there's a lot more education to be done. And I mean, hopefully this will...
No. It makes sense. And like I said, I have conversations with Richard Porter, who I can't wait to connect you guys.
Yeah.
He echoed exactly the same. And if there's one vitamin that is continually said to me in voice notes and just trying to create awareness to our Built to Last community, it's vitamin D.
It's vitamin D.
It's like, I cannot tell you everything you just said. It's exactly the same.
It's crazy because it's so cheap, so easy to get. And as I say, you know, over COVID, it would have, had we been given, as opposed to given masks, been given vitamin D out. You know, it's just so obvious. You
know, in relation to blood work and DNA too, just obviously I'm going to be selfish here from my side of, okay, we are paid to help get and keep people in the best physical, mental shape of their life. And ultimately, especially now as a dad, more specifically than that, I want to help people live longer, live better, and have the energy and vitality for many decades to come, right? one of the contributing factors to that is the food you put in the mouth. One of the contributing factors to that is the food you put in your mouth. Okay, not just how much you eat, but what you eat. How powerful is the DNA testing and blood work in relation to helping personalised what foods can help me or anyone I'm working with or anyone listening to this do that in terms of optimizing their health, their energy, their vitality, and obviously by default how you look and want to feel. How important a role does blood work and DNA testing?
So perfect. DNA is massive. So for instance, I went through my son's DNA this morning with our medical director.
Yeah.
My son's 15. And so we went through this, and it was very enlightening. So give an understanding, I've got 2 genetic variants, which basically means I have what is called hunter gene, and that means high protein. Really, I don't work well with carbs at all.
Okay.
My wife has the opposite. She has what is called the farmer. Two genetic variants means she's really good with carbs, doesn't need high protein in her diet, and actually finds it problematic to absorb. My son's got one of each. Now, that doesn't always work that way, by the way. So he needs a more balanced diet. But for instance, we were looking at my son. He is great. He doesn't have any sensitivity to milk. What were the problematic ones? I'm trying to think that we can use. He needs a lot higher. He needs a lot more berries, a lot more chia. Or chia would be good. Flax seeds. He needs a really high omega-3 content. So stuff such as salmon, of course. Yeah, all the omega-3s. Yeah. Not everyone's like that, and then so that will really help with his cognitive performance at school. But for anyone else, is understanding. So we do a massive diet plan. Well, not just diet, but information about what your body absorbs, but more importantly, what your body craves or really needs. And also what you can be sensitive to. For instance, my son, was, which is probably quite good, very sensitive to caffeine. Now, he doesn't have caffeine at all, but it'd be good for him to know that for the future. And that means by being very sensitive to caffeine, it means he actually can't get rid of it very quickly. So
Yeah. So it can just create more predictability to what you need to eat, but more importantly then how you want to feel and perform afterwards. Because I'm guessing you, your wife and your son have probably eaten things that you didn't know were maybe contributing to your energy or lack of energy as well. So have you noticed a distinct difference?
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, it can make it hard to eat together.
I get it. Okay.
So, well, not to eat together.
And we're not trying to preach perfection, but if you can...
Well, I suppose when we go out, we just we order different things. What it means when we're together, we cooked it. For instance, my wife's a veggie anyway, and I like to have a lot of meat. So,
and I suppose it's the same as anything, right? Because it's like open-ended how perfect you can be and how pinpoint. But I think the biggest vulnerability that anyone can ever have is not being aware of how much energy they could have if they do certain things, and they're just guessing. Yeah. So there's one thing knowing what to do, and even if every now and then you don't want to, even with yourself, you want to have a few more carbs, and you know that, okay, you might not feel as sharp afterwards, but that's okay. That's your choice. But there's another going every day, just winging your way through life, going, I don't know what to put into my body, and I feel off. I don't feel energized, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know,
if you've got that direction, that map, we can give that map. Yeah. Then I mean, for instance, I've got a bit of a sweet tooth, and I do like to indulge once in a blue moon, but I used to indulge a lot more. Yeah. And so I've really reduced that, and I really noticed the difference. Really noticed the difference of energy levels, and also, to be honest, injuries. Okay. Reducing the sugar through inflammation.
Yeah.
It's so crucial. It's just simple. I mean, the stuff you preach already.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. We've got a lot to get from. We'll probably get the little sign coming up in about 10 minutes, right? What do people most misunderstand when it comes to aging? Because you said earlier that you've reversed your biological age.
Okay.
And I don't believe there's a person on this planet, given the choice, who wouldn't want to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about biological age, chronological age. So obviously, chronological age is our birth date, our real age. Biological age is mapped by different aging calculators. So the aging calculator we would use, it's got the biggest historical data. That's pheno age. So that will look at large data sets or extremely large data sets and aggregate if your blood was X, Y, Z, these points, and they will track that over time. This is when you're likely to die. Okay, lovely conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So then you've got something called Dundon pace. Dundon pace is your rate of aging. So we've got two major calculators we use. Utilising the two together, we will look at the main markers, ApoB, your vitamin D levels, your CRP, HbA1cs, et cetera, going on. Mm-hmm. And we can then, by putting in someone's blood work, we can, into this calculator, this algorithm, we can say, okay, based upon that blood work, you're typically the age of, say, a 27-year-old, but you're 40, for instance. Mm-hmm. Or you're currently 60 when you're 40. And that's a problem. But then, so how do we then reverse these biomarkers? What can we do to change those biomarkers to, for instance, reduce, the main one, as I was saying, is ApoB. What can we do to change that, reduce it down so you're no longer hot, you're no longer creating the little particles that are hardening your arteries, and therefore actually reduce a bit of that damage as well, the calcification within the artery. So that's the biological age. What we've seen with all of our clients is we've been able to, with the recommendations that we've given, which are often supplement-based recommendations, food recommendations, lifestyle recommendations.
Yeah, it's lifestyle, and then you've got supplementation. Yeah, you've got your fundamentals, then you've got the optimizers.
Yeah. We've seen all of them reduced in a period of 6 months, reduce their biological age by a minimum of 5 years. Okay. Now, these also, the people that are coming to us are already quite optimized. So we're talking about people that are, say, 40, that already had a biological age of, say, 38, 37, 38, reducing it to 32. Okay. So that's what we're saying by this now more targeted towards them. And that's an amazing thing, because it really does mean the chances of heart attacks reduced, the chances of stroke reduced, but also, really importantly, this is a point that's echoed by many in the longevity space, which is when you have your body in balance, when it's out of balance, that's when we see aging. That's when we see tumours. That's when we see problems within the body. When your body is in balance, when your blood work is optimised, that's when aging just slows down. So, for myself, I've on Dundon pace, I've seen my age score massively reduced. Now, you may be aware of Brian Johnson.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that mad guy is doing about
crazy
55 minutes.
Okay. So Brian Johnson is on what's called the Rejuvenation Olympiad. It's a list of people that are aging the slowest. He's number one. Okay. Because he's aging the slowest. I think he's aging 5 months every year, according to these stats. Okay. After doing our protocols for 9 months, I'm now 195 in the world. There's about 10,000 people on it. Okay. It shows what we do works. Okay. And that's by really understanding our DNA. Okay. And really understanding the blood work and how we can sort it out.
No, all makes sense. Mate, I've got so much I want to squeeze out you before we go. Right. Let me try and be clinical here. I'm just going to pot shot some questions because we've got 10 minutes left. Cool. What are the early signs someone is heading towards burnout?
Early signs would be, I think, stress, anxiety, and they don't talk about it. We've got our products as well, which no one else really has, well, certainly no one has in the region, which is a VR headset, which has 8 sensors around the eyes, heart rate variability monitor in the wrist. We can look at brainwave activity in real time and see how stressed you are. I think I may have mentioned this to you. Everyone who comes to us and says, oh God, I'm going to break that machine, I'm so stressed, they're not stressed at all. It's really weird. And it's just anecdotal evidence. Anyone who says, oh, I can deal with stress, it's absolutely fine. They're the ones, they're hiding it and they're putting on a brave face.
But it's more exhausting because I've spoke to you about this, they're suppressing emotions.
Yes.
Which your physiology has to respond more often than not in a negative way when you suppress emotions. Yeah. It's fact.
Yeah, exactly.
So for someone who's like, I'm not stressed.
Oh, you are.
Yeah. And your body has to respond from that.
Yeah.
Yes. I get it. Coming back to NAD.
Yeah.
Right.
My favourite. What
is NAD in the simplest explanation you can give? because I've seen NAD pens. You see NAD drip. Like for someone who has zero clue about NAD, like I know you've said the benefits of you 13 years ago and all that stuff, but like, what is it?
Okay, NAD is a coenzyme. What does that mean to people? Probably nothing. Okay, what you need to know is you've got 37 trillion cells in your body. In the center of each cell, you have the mitochondria. The mitochondria is the powerhouse to the cell. So just imagine you've got a big cell or a cell. Inside it, you've got this mitochondria. It provides all the energy around the cell. Imagine that mitochondria is a car. The food we put in our body is the petrol, diesel, or electricity to that car. The engine to the car is NAD. So as we age, by the age of 40, our NAD levels have depleted by about 60%. That means our engine hasn't been serviced. It means the engine can only perform at 60% of what it used to perform. So that's providing all the energy around the whole cell. NAD's been known to be called the miracle molecule. Increasing your levels of NAD can improve things such as your hearing, your eyesight, can improve the rate your hair grows, change the colour of your hair. And this is dramatically from greys to the dark again. It's amazing for mental clarity and focus. It can be administered in one of three ways. The way it's being typically administered would be intravenously.
Is that the most effective? Because that's my biggest skepticism around this. Is like you see, there's pens, there's this. What is the most guaranteed way for me to get to utilize NAD properly? Absorb NAD properly.
So we can't absorb NAD through the gut. So if you see any pills that are selling, and there's lots of pills that sell NAD, that promote themselves as NAD, they're often not NAD. They are either NMN or NR, which are precursors, which is fine, but they shouldn't be saying they are NAD.
Okay.
Then there are tablets that say they are NAD. They just don't work. You can't absorb it in the gut. Then you've got the pens, certainly work as long as the quality is good. They're really good in my opinion. Having daily dose of NAD is really, really good. So then you've got the option between either NAD wafers, which we've got the licensing for in this region, which goes directly under the tongue, means you're getting every day, it goes under your tongue, goes straight into your blood capillaries, and you're getting a daily dose. That means you're getting consistent dose of NAD. That's fantastic. Then you've got intravenously, which means you're getting a big dose, which is really good as well. Combination of the two are the best. So the idea being you have a loading phase of NAD. Similarly, you'd have creatine, have a big loading phase, and then you'd have a monthly drip, and in between you'd have a daily dose of your NAD wafer. That's the best way to do it by far. I mean, I've been studying NAD since I started taking it, and I've done it more than anyone else here in the region.
What happens if you're someone who your diet's absolutely shocking, your sleep's awful, basically all your lifestyle fundamentals, as in you never walk? What difference would NAD make if someone is just literally doing nothing and all they did was that?
It still would improve their function. It is a cheat, it's a cheat code or a hack. Without a doubt, it is. Of course, you don't want to be doing. You ideally want to get someone to do everything, but it's still going to make your cells function significantly better.
What I'm trying to get at, even if you listen to it, there's no magic pill or pen, but that someone's going to be better for using it than not using it.
Correct. Yeah.
Even if they're an absolute car crash. That's my only thing with. And I know you don't, because you're a healthy person and stuff. But it's like my biggest gripe sometimes is if I've had like a sales rep of a company reach out to me on DM on Instagram and go, Kurt, we'd love to send you out this NAD pen, and then I look at the guy and he's an absolute mess. I'm like, at least get someone else.
Exactly, I totally agree.
You know what I mean?
It's not okay.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Sure. No, I totally agree. I think it's unacceptable when you see that. So, bottom line, it's going to make a difference, but really, it's get everything else in order as well. Yeah. Come on, it's a cheat code, but it's not a cheat code. It's kind of this. But the other thing is, there's a lot of people that need a bit of assistance to get. It might be that additional thing.
I understand.
That gets them on the
give
right
them
path.
That kickstart. Yeah. I understand to create that momentum.
Yeah.
Just sort of wrapping up with Elite Vita itself. Yeah. What do you think is different about your approach versus other clinics here in Dubai?
Sure. Really, it starts with the understanding of NAD. three fundamentals. It's the depth of the blood work we go into. I've seen many clinics that still don't do ApoB, which seems ludicrous. You can't call yourself longevity if you don't do ApoB. Then the DNA analysis. No one in the region uses the same platform as we do. Almost everyone who does DNA here will just look at, as I say, anywhere between 30 and 40 markers as a genetic report. It's a joke. We're looking at over 200 million. And so then it's understanding the person through both bloods and DNA, understanding how NAD works, and then also creating bespoke. Everything is bespoke for us.
Yes.
It's all about a bespoke process. In the same way you get a fitted suit, we need to make everything work for you. And it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Yeah. And we've seen it with the results and happy clients.
Yeah. No. Like I said at the start, you guys definitely. Well, anyone who's listened this long will know they can feel your passion, and that's what I admire about you and your team. That feeds off when you walk through the door. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, just to wrap us up, we spoke about NAD, blood work, DNA testing, and some other things. What would you say for someone who wants to live with more energy, they want to really give themselves some serious momentum towards a healthier future, more vitality, all that type of stuff? What would you say in priority order what is the priority order you would advise someone to do either DNA testing, blood work, NAD? If they couldn't do everything at once, what would be the stages?
Well, for me, DNA and blood work go hand in hand.
Okay.
One enables you to understand how the other works. So the DNA gives you that knowledge of why your markers are like the way they are. For instance, we can look at vitamin D, going back to vitamin D, and we've seen that some people supplement already with vitamin D, and yet their blood work shows they've got low vitamin D levels, and we don't know why. Yeah. So we need to understand why. Once we understand why, and for instance, we can see they can't absorb the vitamin D they're taking. Once we see that, then we can give someone a little injection to take vitamin D. So you need to do DNA and blood work hand in hand. Once you've done your DNA, you keep that for life. That information's stored. You can use that for the rest of life. You've got that knowledge. Then it's just doing your blood work every so often. Those, for me, are ahead of NAD. Okay. Although I believe and profess NAD all day long.
Yeah, it's like the DNA and the blood work is the must-have, and then the NADs, that's nice-to-have.
That's getting the next steps, yeah. Okay. That's optimising, without a doubt, yeah.
Brilliant. And then lastly, what's the vision, just to wrap us up, what's the vision with Elite Vita? And
Elite Vita, so we're looking at, we're in the process of developing an app to make what we do a lot more accessible, which means you wouldn't be getting the guidance directly from our medical director or from our team. It means you'll be able to get your DNA and blood work and have that on an app. And then that will give you direction. It has to be overseen and will be overseen by a medical team to give you direction on what supplements to take. The idea being to link that into wearables. So say, for instance, if you've done a really hard workout today, it'll be able to tell, and that would be recommend you, for instance, that evening to take more magnesium. So that is the big vision. And that's something we're working with at the moment.
Yeah, so it's just to take that personalisation and speed.
Make it a bit for the masses.
Yeah. And help more people who can't always get to your clinic, basically.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, awesome. Dan, where can people find you, Elite Vita?
So my Instagram is Dan, DAN_DNA_NAD. And the clinic is Elite Vita Clinic. And then we've also got the NAD supplementation, which is Elite Wellness Co. both on Instagram.
Amazing. Time flew by, I knew it would. But we managed to squeeze an awful lot in there. So please check him out. I'm sure you'll agree his energy's another level, passion. And I look forward to doing lots more with you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate the time.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.